Wishful thinking. Is Gohan's recovery just that? Or is there something to this little lad's potential? Also, are the others actually going to be able to have a plan? Hey guys, MasakoX here. Back in the days where Dragon Ball Z was relatively fresh, we were subject to one of the biggest twists in the show's history. Goku wasn't from Earth. I know! It seemed pretty normal in a world where animal people were common as well as dinosaurs roaming free, that Goku could have just blended in. He was a monkey boy with a tail. Hardly something that was weird, but no, he was from outer space, and his son was something never before seen by Saiyans or anyone else, and quite the fascination indeed. However, this wonderment of biology had a very risky caveat attached to it, in the form of uncontrollable rage boosts that could turn everyone into a dog's dinner if they weren't careful and when they cornered the little one. Now, in the original story, this quickly became a non-event as the show progressed, to the point where we barely remember that Gohan had rage boosts, and the adult Gohan is very level-headed. That one managed to put a lid on it. Here though, we ask, what if he wasn't able to? It became more like the quintessential angry Saiyan Broly from back in the 90s, and if left unchecked, could doom everyone around him. This interesting thought experiment came from our weekly roundtables, the streams where you can suggest ideas to myself and my learned colleagues. We provide our feedback, a brief analysis, and some of these ideas even end up getting turned into video series of their own, much like this one from Philip Perkins. It was a very simple premise, but it completely surprised us at the same time. We can see the power of collective thinking at work, as well as the drive to give Gohan something to work with narratively speaking that doesn't involve a conference or being unable to dodge. Either way, there is another string of tension to this storytelling bow. Is Gohan ever going to go thermonuclear? I mean, it could happen. It's much more perilous here than in the original, with the original rage boost being quite a bit of a damp squib relatively, where for the most part they mainly acted like limit break moments. In the last part, our little Gohan got taken to Namek in the hopes of being able to find an outlet for his rage powers, and fortunately bumped into the likes of Nail, one of the strongest Namekians on the planet, as well as a very helpful guru when it comes to calming tempered souls. Under his tutelage, our gang managed to find for the first time a realistic and, more importantly, safer outlet in the fight against Frieza. Speaking of, the rest of the group, with Nail supervising Gohan for the time being, set out to gather the Dragon Balls with Yamcha taking charge, alongside Krillin. You see, this time around he is alive as well as being a tangible addition to the crew. He was able to assist in taking down Kui even. Not bad for the desert surfer. With the gang taking a much more active role in safeguarding the Namekian population, we are seeing a much more assertive dragon team, instead of them just spending time skulking in the shadows, all thanks to their potential being unlocked earlier than in the original story. Whether this trend would continue as the ante's being upped remains to be seen though. As the Dragon team press on and forge their fight back against Frieza's soldiers, the attention focuses back to the Tower of the Elder Guru. The atmosphere was quite different from normal when it's just Nail and Guru, as the Elder watches his attendant and the young Earthling training, as well as imaging it in his mind when they're outside. There is bizarrely in Guru a feeling of calm and safety that he hadn't felt in a while.
My people are in good hands. At last I can live out my remaining days safe in the knowledge that we will live on.
He knows his time is drawing near though, but he has to endure one last time so that the Dragon Balls can be used against the intruders. After Porunga has done his thing, he can be in peace. As for the two more active guests of the tower, things are looking up despite the initial uncertainty. Gohan's training with Nail has gone pretty well. The young boy was able to utilize his initial training with Kami, but with the more patient Namekian this time around, as well as being more engaging physically, unlike Kami, he was finding a better outlet for his pent-up rage. The underlying stress of the situation was helping too, bizarrely. What Gohan was beginning to realize was that going from 0 to 100 all the time back on Earth was the catalyst for his rage boosts. He didn't really have a default stress level. By perhaps maybe changing that to something more like going from 30 to 100 instead of 0 to 100, It doesn't remove the problem, sure, but it allows the Hybrid Saiyan to at least prepare to handle stress better, and even control these anger bursts, hopefully. But despite this moment of clarity, the reality is becoming apparent. The Frieza troops are becoming more and more relentless in their hunt for the Dragon Balls. You see, even though their power isn't all that special when compared to our guys, there is something missing from the formula which actually helped our chums out quite a bit, and that is Vegeta. Without Vegeta here, around to mow through these soldiers like an unkept lawn, the troops are in actually much better shape and morale than in the original story. They are actually doing stuff, able to keep it together, and their numbers are unwavering. Their bravery unquestioned, because no one's actually questioning them. Sure, they were pretty big powers, but for now, those guys, our Dragon Team, were far off in the distance and doing their own thing. Krillin and Yamcha were busy saving people instead of tackling these goons head-on, like the Prince did. Although our gang have one Dragon Ball, they really can't do anything without getting the full set, so a direct encounter is pretty inevitable. They won't be able to hide forever and be all noble with saving people. Soon enough, they are going to clash, and people are going to get hurt. The two Earthlings realize that after the latest batch of civilians have been now sent off into the mountains for safety, they have to tackle the problem. Krillin, buddy, we can't keep doing this. Soon enough, we need to start taking out the soldiers. I know, man, but until Bulma can reverse engineer that scouter or whatever, all we can do is minimize the damage. Yamcha and Krillin are now trying to pin their hopes in Bulma being able to hack Whi's scouter, so they could potentially be able to use that scouter for their own benefit. Maybe listen in on their enemies and pick off rogue offshoots bit by bit instead of tackling it all in one go. When they do get back to base, the engineer is indeed proud to unveil her work. Krillin tries the scouter on, presses a couple of buttons, and instantly they can hear the crosstalk between various battalions stationed across the planet. A smile forms on his face. Good! They've got the upper hand now without getting injured. Thanks to this, they can at least know the movements of the enemy troops. The messages continue to come in. The trio are now listening feverishly to gather as much intel now as possible before they next go out on their missions. They do find out the name of that galactic powerful emperor, Frieza, and they figured out that he was the one behind Vegeta showing up on Earth in the first place. Sure, they knew more stuff, but regardless of intel, they know that they can't fight Frieza in a simple battle. He may be only one guy, but he's far too powerful for any of them. Not even Nail could take him down, and he was league stronger than any of them right now. There is one idea though. It may be risky, it may seem a little foolish, but sometimes you just gotta come up with an underhanded plan to deal with underhanded people. And that is to try and steal the Dragon Balls from under these goons' noses. Bulma then points out the obvious. I hate to break it to you guys, but you guys stand out like sore thumbs. How are you gonna get in undetected dressed like that? Well, thanks to the hacked scouter, they managed to have an answer to this. One band of troops are heading back to base after finding an empty village and no Dragon Ball. From what the scouter can pick up as well as what they can sense, these guys aren't that strong, and so the pair managed to actually perform a successful jump on these two weak Frieza soldiers and managed to steal their armor. After they get over the fact that this armor is tough but also extremely comfortable and flexible to boot, Yamcha starts to get second thoughts. Do you think anyone's gonna suspect us, bud? I mean, you know, we're dressed like us, but we don't exactly look alien-y. I mean, it's a good point. Of course, up close, they would be recognized as not being from around here, since they just showed up, but at least the two of them are less obvious targets. They have at least a chance of blending in. Also, what works for them is that the troop numbers are so numerous, the odds of Frieza himself spotting them in the crowd and going, "Wait a moment, I don't recognize those generic troops!" Those are pretty slim. That being said, if there are any automatic control spots or identification stations on the ship, they're most certainly doomed. Back at base, Yamcha finally admits to the rest of the group that he's actually been holding something back from them. He smuggled Puar with them to Namek, revealing that his buddy didn't want his master to go alone. Puar is a little apprehensive that the gang would be angry with him for being so reckless, but they're not. Bulma's more irate about another matter. "Well, no wonder you were eating so much, Yamcha! Yamcha fires back with saying that Bulma's been eating more too. It's called stress eating, and what do you expect? I'm having to find solutions for your weakness, you dolt! With the couple bickering amongst themselves, Poir reckons that he's in the clear. And then another reason for keeping him around arises and becomes very obvious. Guys! Look! He can pretend to be someone! The arguing stops. He's right. Poir's powers can indeed prove to be quite useful. He could impersonate Qui. Now the fun thing about this escapade is that they don't know Qui's name. They just know him as that purple alien guy who didn't like Vegeta a lot. Now, granted, if someone uses a scouter on him, they might discover that this guy's power level is lower than usual, but this plan's better than nothing, and will only increase their chances of pilfering the Dragon Balls instead of making them worse. The gang then head to Guru's tower to check in on Gohan's progress, and they fill the kid in about what they're about to do. Gohan's pretty worried about this plan, but Nail orders him to focus on training instead. You're not involved in this, Gohan, so just let them get on with it. If you break off your training now, it will only slow them down. Harsh words, but Gohan deep down knows that what Nail says is true. Now, in order to not get blasted by Frieza or his commanders for being no good dumbos, they need to bring something back to the Emperor to prove they've actually done something useful, to distract the fact that these guys look weird and get in their good books. Give less reason to be suspicious. With the help of some Dragon Clan Namekians, our heroes are able to forge a Dragon Ball. A Dargan Ball, no less, if you remember that little trope from another What If that I did. It's literally a spherical rock painted gold and with some red stars badly painted on it. It will do for the purposes of getting on the ship. Together with the disguised Yamcha and Krillin, the Quipoir will be the one to bring Lord Frieza his prize. With this Quipoir doing the business, it will look standard, and that is what they want. When they first get on the ship, they aren't bothered by anyone, but before they can meld into the rank and file of the soldiers and truly blend in, they get accosted by a pool.
Hey, Qui, where have you been? Dodoria's waiting for your report about your Earthling encounter. You don't want to keep the boss waiting.
The Quipoir is getting flustered. Poir didn't know what Qui sounded like, so he had to guess.
I've been busy chasing the Earthlings, and my scouter malfunctioned?
A pool looks quizzical.
Malfunctioned? Right.
But it was worth it! I found one of the Dragon Balls right here!
He thrusts the Dargan Ball in a pool's face to further prove his point. This, fortunately, has the expected reaction.
Oh, Lord Frieza will be most pleased. Well, go right ahead and present yourself to him then. But wait a sec. What about those two? I don't remember you fraternizing with these guys. Who are they?
Quipoir is trying to save the situation.
And these are Chestnut and Master T. They helped me in securing this ball after my initial helpers were sadly offed by the Earthlings. Those people are very slippery.
Apul acknowledges this and bows his head in sadness, and then simply tells them to move along and present the ball. And so they do just that, and quickly deliver the Dargan Ball to Frieza. The reaction is exactly what they expect. Frieza is pleased with Qui's success. Chestnut and T, though, are waiting outside, having been told that they're too low ranking to even gaze at Frieza's glorious face in the flesh. The two are instead busy listening in on the scouter to the exchange between the Emperor and their shape-shifting buddy.
I never expected that you, of all people, would be the one to bring me such a prize, and with so little fuss. You've done well today, Qui. I think it's safe to say that you will be handsomely rewarded when we are done here. We are just one orb short from achieving our goal, and then I, Lord Frieza, will be able to achieve immortality. I feel we are very close, Qui.
Quipoir is trying to hide his loathing of saying the honorific.
As a matter of luck, I think I finally managed to locate the village that might contain the last one. I think I will go there personally, as a mark of personal celebration.
Poir internally gulps at that revelation, but he now knows the location of the already captured Dragon Balls. Our heroes need a new plan, stat. Kui-Pua bows and leaves Frieza's quarters, while Krillin, equipped with the Dragon Radar, has to get to the village before Frieza does and take the Dragon Ball. He does have some time though, because Frieza is reveling in his success, sipping some wine in some sense of satisfaction, gorging on his own glory, and reveling in all the things he will do once he gets his everlasting life. As Krillin leaves and then Frieza does, eventually, Yamcha remains on board and gets an idea. Frieza took his right and left hand men Zarbon and Dodoria with him, so that means the people who are usually guarding the balls aren't, and who are now guarding the balls are Raspberry and Apul. These guys' powers were much lower than Zarbon and Dodoria's. Pui then transforms into Frieza, and he presents himself to the guards.
My lord, we didn't expect you to return so soon.
Be quiet, you lumbering oafs! You'll question my efficacy?
I've decided to come back and take the Dragon Balls here and make the wish as soon as possible. The air here stinks, and I want to be off this world by sundown.
The two are so stressed by their boss's presence that they totally ignore the fact that Frieza sounds a little off, is not using his usual hover chair, and he actually sounds more theatrical. But they're not going to question anyone who looks like Frieza. They daren't be that bold. So the balls are taken. Yamcha and Puar then leaving as fast as they can. Back at Guru's place, Nail and Bulma are shocked to discover that Guru is not feeling that well, which means that they don't have much time left. Luckily for them though, Krillin, Yamcha, Puar, and some of the Namekians from the last village are already heading there. Guru then warns them that after they summon Porunga, they will be attracting the attention on everyone on the planet. With the help of said Namekians, they decide to wish Piccolo back to Namek. At least thanks to that, the Earth Dragon Balls are back in action. For now though, they ask Porunga to remain low, as they may need one more wish later. Guru tasks Bulma with safeguarding the balls. Gohan is really happy to see Piccolo here, but this is no time for rejoicing, as the real Frieza has sent Zarbon and Dodoria to check what has caused the sky to darken. Nail, Piccolo and Gohan do thankfully make quick work of the duo, actually surprising themselves with how efficient they were. But Frieza has broken off his celebration at that Namekian village to head back to the ship to regroup, but he then discovers that his prize has been stolen, and his two top henchmen are not responding. The Emperor isn't happy. And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now. So what do you guys think? Do you feel that the Ginyus will be called in sooner than before? Will Goku be able to do anything since things are going so quickly on Namek? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!